The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom may be the greatest video game ever created. It has gameplay, it has a world, it has a story, it has characters, it has building, and you can play it on a handheld anywhere you want. To celebrate its 1055-day anniversary, I'm here today to list 50 reasons why Tears of the Kingdom is a bona fide masterpiece. Before I start though, this is your spoiler warning. I'm going to mention every detail from the entire game to explain why Tears of the Kingdom is like the Japanese Shohei Ohtani if you're familiar with baseball. So please click away until you've experienced this epic video game for yourself. With that said, here are 50 reasons why I love The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom and why it's better than every other game ever created. I love how it's possible to not find Hestu until you've played over 30 hours of this game. I love how there's two ways to get the Master Sword, and one of the ways is way lamer than the other one. And I was honored enough to get it the worst way, where the Deku Tree just tells you where to go. I love how I can watch the memories out of order and not understand the story in any cohesive way. I love how the entire story is just being told about things that happen rather than seeing them for yourself. I love how easy the boss of the Fire Temple was and how easily you can abuse the entire dungeon with Ultra Hand. I love how the Water Temple is boring as fuck and the worst 3D water dungeon by a long shot. It really made me feel so immersed into the game. I loved how basic the Lightning Temple was and felt like it was just getting started by the time it ended. I was worried it was going to go on too long. I love the theming and the music of the Wind Temple, but I love even more that none of the puzzles are interesting or unique. I love how all of the dungeons are basically the Divine Beasts again, because the terminal structure was just so good. I love how the lead up to the dungeons were sometimes cooler than the dungeons themselves. I don't want the dungeons to have all the fun. I love how all the main quests were so short. It gave me more time to do all the side activities in the game. I love how the main quest involves going to the exact same areas again to meet the same races as in Breath of the Wild. It really makes the game feel the exact same. I love how all of the main quests follow the same plot of a fake Zelda, and Link cannot say anything about it even though he's been to other areas. It really makes me feel like I love hearing about the Imprisoning War so many times. I almost forgot about it the previous time, so I'm glad to hear it again. I love how annoying the Ultra Hand physics can be. I love all of the unnecessary building puzzles for unlocking Great Fairies. It really makes you feel like you're wasting your time. I love all of the unnecessary extra steps for unlocking the towers, because climbing the towers in Breath of the Wild was just too boring. I love how many tutorial shrines there are. It really makes you feel like you hate this game. I love how many shrines you can so easily abuse such that you feel like you're doing something unintentional. It really makes you feel like they didn't think this through. I love how many shrines that I could look at and solve in just 10 seconds. I love how this game had 150 shrines, even more than Breath of the Wild, because I don't need real fucking dungeons. I love the shrines that take away all of your gear and make you fight the same Zonai dudes every single time. It really makes you feel like you're playing reused content. I love how they reused the Korok seeds as a mechanic and made them even more scarce. I love how so many of the Korok puzzles are copy and pasted while still being boring and not rewarding enough for your efforts. Because yes, I really do enjoy just getting 2 Korok seeds when I fly across the entire goddamn map. I love how all of the Sky Islands are the exact same. It makes me feel so comfortable when I go to each one. I love how they reuse the same overworld from Breath of the Wild with minor changes. It really makes me feel like I'm playing a recycled game. I love how they reused so much of the armor without any changes and still made them the go-to for each area. I love how much of the overworld music was repeated from Breath of the Wild. I love how empty parts of the world are without guardians here. They were just so scary, it made me not want to play the game. I love how shitty the horses feel to control, so I still will never use them. And I love how useless the horses are, because you need to climb and glide through the entire map to go anywhere. I love how the Faron region still doesn't have anything going on there. It really makes you feel like they had no idea how to make this game. I love how the ability wheel has the map and the amiibo on it, because I love scanning my plastic pieces of shit. I love how the depths almost look all the same and aren't visually interesting even after spending several hours down there. I love that Gloom is a really annoying mechanic and doesn't add anything but frustration to the gameplay. It really makes me feel like I want to throw a controller. I love how they fixed the weapon durability, but also made it worse with the rusted weapons. I love how easily healing can still be abused by pausing the game and eating several 5-star meals. I love how the slippery rain is still a piece of shit and they didn't even bother trying to give it a real solution. Because no, making players change their armor set just to climb in the rain is not a real fix. I love how Sage abilities are inferior to Champion abilities and are much more annoying to activate. I love how the Sage Ghosts clog up the screen and make it hard to see what's going on. It really makes me not want to use them at all, except for maybe Tulin, which is the only useful one. I love how I still can't quick switch between multiple targets in combat. I love how the Flurry Rush activation triggers still feel inconsistent from Breath of the Wild. I love how fighting bosses in the overworld and using up your inventory still has no incentive. I love how slow and clunky it is to fuse during battle with the D-pad. I love how you're still mostly fighting all the same enemies as in Breath of the Wild. I love that Ascend is an awesome ability, but it's so finicky that it doesn't let you go on anything that's not a flat surface. I love how people asked for more overworld activities, and they gave us the Signpost Man, caves, and wells repeated over and over. I love how the game still chugs and slows down when a lot is happening, and I love that Nintendo's asking me for $15 to fix that. I love that this game got extra heart containers instead of new stamina vessels, because I totally need more hearts when I'm doing all this extra gliding. I love how Nintendo missed the perfect opportunity to make Purah the Sage of Spirit. And finally, I love how Zelda made a major sacrifice with turning herself into a dragon, which is supposed to be irreversible, and yet the game completely undoes it through the power of family or whatever Rauru and Sonia blasted her with. All in all, Tears of the Kingdom is one of the greatest video games of all time, if not the greatest. And these are just a couple reasons why I loved it so much. Thank you for watching, and happy April Fool's Day.